Hey guys, happy Saturday afternoon or whatever time of day it is where you're at. Might be Sunday, depends where on this beautiful earth you live. But anyhow, doing something with a amazing author of a book called Beach Money and Better Than Beach Money. And regardless of what you're doing, these principles apply that can give us all the success that we want. So I'm just going to let you decide if you want to take notes. Here he is, my one of my new favorite guys to follow and listen, Jordan Adler. So take a listen, guys. I think you're going to love it.
Overnight became, it went all over the world. And I didn't get into network. I didn't get into this business to be a public speaker. I'm not a paid public speaker. Very rare opportunities have been I didn't pay. I get invited to speak at because of the book and because of the message that I train on. I get invited to speak at events all the time, and I speak at events that have thousands, sometimes even tens of thousands of people, but never for pay. So I got a call from my friend Eric Worre, and Eric asked me to speak at Network Marketing Pro last year. And Eric's the #1 trainer in the network marketing profession worldwide. Great friend of mine. We've grown to be friends over the years. So I'm at that event, and my father had been very ill, and he had heart problems in his final days. And I was backstage at the event. There were 7,500 people in the crowd. And there were another 10,000 listening on live video. And Curtis, I don't remember Curtis's last name, but I should, was on stage. And so I'm backstage. You can see the curtain, the lights coming through the curtains. All the sound equipment is set up backstage. The music is blaring. And I mean, it's dark backstage. And all the sound people and the production people are backstage. And Eric and his wife Marina are backstage. And they're all suited up. They've got their nicest business clothes on, and I've got my suit on, and I've got my wire on with a little tape on the side, and I'm getting ready to go on stage, and Curtis is doing a 2-minute introduction of me, and I'm getting ready to go up the stairs and go onto the stage, and he's giving that introduction while the music is playing softly, and then they bring the music up as I walk on stage. I get a text message right as I'm getting stage. And I look at my phone in Chicago texting me to say that Dad's dying tonight, you gotta come home. He's gonna die tonight, you gotta come home. This is seconds. And in that, wrap your arms around me, I start bawling. Curtis is introducing me, and I'm bawling my eyes out backstage because I'm getting ready to go on. I had a choice. I could have said, Eric, I can't do this at that moment. I said, I can't do this. And he would have gotten on stage and he would have explained and everything would have been fine. But I've been teaching for over 10 years. I've been teaching people, don't make your decisions to build your business based on how you're feeling in any given moment. Base it on your commitment, not on how you're feeling. We're human beings. Our emotions go up and they go down. That's the way we are. And anybody who's ever been successful in business knows that there's many days that you go in that you don't feel like going in. And it's no different in network marketing. The people that make it big in network marketing, they understand that emotions go up, emotions. I knew in that moment that I thought about this as I had like 20 thoughts in like a matter of a minute and a half. One of my thoughts was, I'm not getting out tonight. And I feel like crap and I don't want to get on the stage, but you know what? I have a commitment to be on the stage. And I've been teaching it for 10 years. I've taught that message so much. And I thought to myself, I need to be out there. And I made a decision not to announce it to the audience when I went up on stage. I just did my talk as it was scheduled. I got off stage and I lost it. And I went to the computer and found a flight and went to Chicago the next morning. My dad was around for 2.5 more weeks. We got an opportunity to really talk at his bedside in hospice. Yeah. So I just wanted to share that message with you. And you know what? I just recently came out of I had an amazing 2-year experience learning to fly helicopter. It was like one of the best. I needed a hobby. I just felt like I needed a hobby. And I needed something that would really, really challenge me, that I felt like was way outside of my comfort zone, that would really stretch me. And it was one of those things, when you learn a little bit about my background, some of you know it, you're gonna find out that a guy that comes from my background doesn't fly helicopters. You just don't fly helicopters coming from where I came. But I chose that, and in the beginning I was like, how am I doing? Am I doing good? You with me? Okay. I chose that, flying helicopters, believing that I could do it. And there were no less than 100 times over the next 2 years that I was 100% sure that I could not fly helicopters. Like I was 100% sure, based on my experience out in the helicopter, trying to do stuff that I needed to do to pass my tests and the study. But I also know that one of the rules to having your dreams is to stay focused on your dream. Like, why am I doing it? I want to be able to take my friends up in the helicopter when they come to town and give them a tour of the strip, take them out to Red Rock, fly around, do that kind of thing. And I knew that if I didn't follow through on my commitment, that I wasn't going to have that dream. So I had to refocus on the dream. The second thing I know is that you have to see the job through no matter what. So if I quit because I didn't feel like it, because my emotions go up and down just like yours do, then I would never have my dream. And I learned this in network marketing. I mean, most of the goals that I've written down, when I wrote them down, I did not believe they were possible. But I also know that the fourth step, and I'm going to go over this later, the fourth step is see the job through. That means don't quit until it's, help me, don't quit until it's what? Done. That's the fourth step to having your dreams. Don't quit. I haven't gone giving you the first three yet. You're going to have to stick around. You're going to have to stick around to learn the first three. So don't quit until it's done. And so when I had those days and I'm telling you, they're as real as any day you have that you're in this business, and any day that you have that you start to question whether you can do it, whether you're doubting whether it's possible for you, it's no different. It's like the day that I went out to do auto rotations, and I did probably 10 of them in one day. An auto rotation is where you roll the throttle off and basically disconnect the engine from the helicopter from the main rotor. So there's no connection between the engine and the main rotor. Basically, it's like the engine off. And you have to learn how to safely bring the helicopter down without an engine. And I did probably 10 of them in one day. And I was really bad at it. Like scary bad. Like he had to keep saving us, otherwise we would have crashed. I had many experiences like that, where I didn't want to go back. 2 days before my check ride, Jan, you said I could do it. I did not believe you when you said I could do it. Now he's a pilot. This guy's a very, very experienced private pilot. And he told me, he gave me advice, and I questioned it for myself. 2 days before my check ride, I was screwing up the auto rotations really bad. Like I would not have passed. And we did 10 of them, and I still screwed them up. And then the next day was supposed to be really, really windy, too windy to fly, and my check ride was that afternoon. That morning, the wind was okay, and we went out, and I figured it out that morning, the morning before my check ride. I finally dialed into it. And I'd probably done 150 of them, but I finally dialed into it. But I got to tell you something. There were so many moments that I didn't want to get in the car and go down to school. Like I was like making up illnesses, and giving myself really good reasons not to. I got this little twitch in my hand. I don't know. It's like I can't. I'm afraid I might lose control of the helicopter. I got a twitch in my arm. It's weird. I have never had this before. So we're going to start off. With a little exercise. And for this first exercise, I'm going to ask you to put your phones down, put your recording devices down, put your pens down. It's just going to be a memory exercise. Not even a memory exercise, kind of a cognitive exercise. But what we're going to do is we're going to come up with a new numbering system. And so as we do this, I'm going to tell you that in order for you to learn this system, you only need, this is going to be really interesting for you, you only need about 3 seconds to learn this system. But I'm going to give you a full minute. Now, if you know the exercise, just play along. Some of you may know it, a few of you may. How many of you know the exercise? Raise your hand. Okay, about 3 of you. So just play along. The rest of you, you're gonna learn the system, and you have, how long do you have to learn it? 1 minute, and how long do you need? 3 seconds. 3 seconds, but I'm gonna give you a full minute. All right, and after we're done, we're gonna talk about it. So, and I want you guys to really focus now. I'm gonna give you my best motivational speech as you're learning it. So I'm gonna coach you while you're learning it over the next minute, okay? And I'm gonna motivate you. Ready? Maria, have you seen this? Okay, ready? Here we go. Learn the system. No pens, no photographs. You have exactly a minute. I'm gonna time you. Focus, and that's my motivation. Okay, wait, I'll give you some more motivation. You can do it! That's 20 seconds, you're a third of the way through. You need 3 seconds, but I'm giving you a full minute. Okay, I need to say it more strong. Focus! Does that help? You can do it! That's what we do to train our reps. You can do it. Come on, go, 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 go. Okay, 20 more seconds. You guys, don't look at me, look over here. You gotta learn the system. Some of you are saying, you're distracting me by talking to me. It doesn't matter. I'm trying to keep you motivated. All right, you got it? All right, good. Whoop. Oh, go back here. All right. Is there anybody here in the room, other than the 3 of you that have already seen this, 4 of you, is there anybody here in the room that is 100% sure that if I gave you some symbols, you would know the number? 100%. Stand up if you think you know it. Is there anybody? I gave you a full minute. You only need 3 seconds.
+5 with every number.
So okay. So I'm gonna give you a number, and you tell me what the number is. And you gotta, if you don't know it 100%, you gotta sit down.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. You gotta know all of them. Okay. Anybody can do it? That does. Anybody? You can do it. You know that number? Go ahead.
8, 3, 9, 5, 6, 1.
Nope. Oh, well.
Oh.
Yeah, hold on. You got it.
Yeah.
And you don't know it? Do you have a photographic memory?
No.
Do you know it?
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty good. And you're the first person that's ever done it. You know what? You get it. Have you ever read Beachbody?
No.
All right, you get a Beachbody. All right. Now, let me show you something here. I should have been more adamant, I should have said this more, right? If I had said this more, would you guys have done better over that minute? No.
Didn't know what we were doing.
How long did it take you to learn it?
Oh,
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How many of you can do it now? Raise your hand. How many of you can do it now? Raise your hand. With the hand. Y'all get it? 3 seconds.
Got it.
1, 3. Did you use this or did you do it another way in your mind? Had you seen this before?
Yeah.
Oh, you've seen it before. All right. No, easy. All right. So I want you to think about something for a minute. Why is it that some people get into network marketing? Somebody joins a network marketing company. 10 years it takes them to figure it out. They finally figure it out. 10 years later or 5 years later, something happens. They go to another company, and boom, overnight they become one of the top earners in the company. It's not because it's because of what they focus on. See, you focused on something completely different. This is not cheating. It's just a different way of what? Different way of seeing it. It's just a different way of looking at it. And if I teach you it this way, you can do it in 3 seconds. Now imagine if you have a team of people, whether it be 2 people, 5 people, 10 people, 30 people, 100 people. Imagine you have a team of people that are all trying to do it filtered through a paradigm of a job, or filtered through a paradigm of all their negative friends, or filtered through a paradigm of growing up with no success financially. And now they're in a network marketing company and they go out and they try and build a business and they're focusing on the wrong thing. How many of you have ever seen a fly buzzing against the window? What's the fly trying to do?
Yeah.
What's going to happen to the fly? How many of you have seen a dead fly on the windowsill? Raise your hand. We all know the story of that fly. That fly was trying to escape through the glass, and in its struggle to escape, it squelched its little life off. 10 feet off. Everybody go off. 10 feet away, there could be a wide open door. That's all the fly would have to do is shift its focus, and effortlessly, it'll fly to freedom. One direction leads to death. The other direction leads to freedom.
Actually, you can take this and I'll just keep the cup. Thank you so much. How are you? Been okay? Cool. Very good, very good. Yeah, this is good. That chocolate chip cookie is so good. So much
The
chocolate.
other is effortless.
I didn't realize it was that
So
chocolate,
it's
but it
what
was
the fly
good. Very
focuses
good.
on that makes a difference.
Thank you.
Same thing here.
You
Now
too.
imagine if you have 1,000 people. Let's say you're trying to teach this to 1,000 people. If you have 1,000 people that know this and they learn it in 3 seconds, how fast can they produce? Fast. But if you have 1,000 people that are trying to do it this way, what's going to happen? It's going to be slow as molasses, right? So it makes sense to get around the people. This is why it's so important to listen to the conference calls on Monday night and on the Cool Buzz. If you don't have it, I'm going to go over it later, but it's www.thecoolbuzz.com because it'll help you to get focused on the right things that will allow you to have the success you're looking for in whatever you're doing. So, and I'm not here to sell you anything. Do you guys understand? I'm going to share. I got to tell you guys this. This is going to make you feel really good. I hope, maybe most of you, not all. So I'm not going to tell you the thing that led to this, but I'm going to tell you that yesterday I got a personal phone call from someone in the United Kingdom that said Richard Branson is going to be in Las Vegas. This was yesterday. Richard Branson is going to be in Las Vegas tomorrow night, and he would like to meet you and have a picture with you. Now, I've never met Richard Branson, but I had a chance. In fact, 6:45. In fact, in 5 minutes from now, I had a chance to meet Richard Branson and get a picture with him. But instead, I chose to be here with you. Now I'm going to tell you, because I was committed to being here, and I'm going to have other opportunities, but I'm going to tell you what led to that. Some of you know, a few of you know, but I'm going to tell you what led to that meeting. So, but going back, being around people that have figured that out. I'm not here to promote this other than to say in 2 weeks, the ANMP, which is the Association of Network Marketing Professionals, is doing an event. Cody's speaking at it, the founder of Send Out Cards. I'm one of the speakers. There will be 50 people on the stage that are all $100,000 a month earners or greater. Some of them as much as $1 million a month. Whoa. They're going to be speaking on stage. And it's a so the cost of the ticket is like $99 and nothing's being sold. So it's like you can go and it's going to be over a period from, I think it's the 14th through the 17th. So I mean, if you want to learn what to focus on, that would be a great opportunity. It's the ANMP event, www.anmp.com or anmp2015.com. Association of Network Marketing Professionals. And I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm getting a commission on that. We're a nonprofit organization for the network marketing profession, but 50 speakers on the stage that are all $100,000 a month earners are going to be in Dallas. So if you're so inclined, I know it's last minute, but I wanted to throw that out there. So what I'm going to do over the next hour and a half to hour 45 minutes is I'm going to share some things with you that I've learned in my journey that have helped me build a successful network marketing business. Some of it I'm going to go through real fast. Some of it's not so fast. The first thing I want to talk to you about is this can be applied to any business. I know there's a lot of guests in the room. Half the room here is guests. Some of you have raise your hand if you have a traditional business that's not network marketing. Raise your hand. Okay, about 12 or 15 of you. Great. So what I'm going to go over is something that this is going to be very, very applicable to whatever you do, whether it's network marketing or not. And I'm going to talk about compressing time frames, having a breakthrough, and increasing your value in the marketplace. Very quickly, we're going to go through this part of the training. And then I'm going to get into some things that are more specific to network marketing and making money. But this will be real applicable to everybody that's in the room. And remember, go back to the exercise we just did. I showed you in a matter of seconds how you can compress timeframes as it relates to learning the new numbering system, and you all saw that. Well, I'm going to do the same thing in the areas of building relationships and the areas of building successful sales organizations. Does that sound good? All right. So we're going to talk about relationships in motion, 3 areas: meeting people, connecting people, and appreciating people. And from my personal experience, this is not a guarantee, but this is what I've observed. People that do each of these, it exponentially multiplies their effectiveness or their success rate by 10. You guys in the back of the room, I don't know how old you guys are, like 19, 20, 21 years old. How old are you guys? I'm 18. 16? 18. Kyle. Have we met Kyle before? No. I'm going to tell you guys, and this is for everybody in the room, it's about compressing time frames. If you guys even take a 10% of what I talk about here in this part of the training and apply it to your career, regardless of what career you choose, it'll catapult you into a different level of living in terms of your life. And I'm not kidding you. Because I'm going to share part of the story, but when I joined the company, the last company I was involved in, my income was $14,000 a year. When I joined, that was in 1992. When I joined my 12th network marketing company, my income was $14,000 a year. I was 34 years old, living in a garage that was closed up and made into a bedroom, and I had a beat up old Jeep. My income had just been cut from $28,000 a year to $14,000 a year. I joined my 12th company, and this was around the time that I learned a lot of the stuff that I'm going to show you right here. And I went, in the next 4 years, I was making 40 grand a month, and I went on to make $8 million with that company, and then another 10 million with this company. But it was because of some of the things that I focused on here. So really pay attention to what I'm going to go through here for everybody, because it has huge value and benefit regardless of what you plan on doing in your life. So the first one is, I'm going to ask this question. What's your name again? Tell me. Tyler, do you know what that is right there, that purple thing? A folder, yes. You 3 guys in the back, do you know what that is? Do you know what that is? You know what it's called?
Rolodex.
Oh, yeah. A Rolodex. That's a Rolodex. And it's not, if you think a Rolodex is this expensive watch, no. So what I want to talk about is whatever amount of money you're making, whatever career you're involved in. If you're in network marketing, if you're making $100 a month or $1,000, whatever, it's multiplied times 10 if you master this slide. Harvey McKay in his book, Swim with the Sharks Without Getting Eaten Alive, said if you want to predict the future of someone's income, look at the size of their Rolodex. Now, a Rolodex is your contact manager. It's electronic, right? We keep it in our phone, we keep it on our Facebook. That's our Rolodex. But I went out when I was in my 20s and I bought one of these. And I started meeting people and getting business cards. To this day, I have a habit. This was just from last week. To this day, I have a habit getting people's business cards. You know, it's the first, there's 2 things that they do. What are they? They come on the website. That's the 2 things they do today. So if people get business cards, I'm going to go where there's people that have business cards. And I'm going to say, when you ask somebody for their business card, the reason they printed the business cards is because they want them to get printed on. So when you ask somebody for their 5, give them to your friends. You can't get rid of them fast enough. So I go to people, make sure there's a mailing address on it. Sometimes there is, sometimes there not. And I ask them, is that your mailing address? What's your mailing address? And I get cards and I put them in my send out cards contact manager. So here's what I found out. I learned this when I was in my 20s. That if you want to predict the future of someone's income, look at the size of their Rolodex. So I went out and bought one of those, and every time I get a business card from somebody, I put it in my Rolodex, and my Rolodex filled up. And then once the Rolodex filled up, then it's like, well, there's the drawers, there's the kitchen counter, there's the desk, And for the next years, 3 years later, I had thousands and thousands of business cards that I got with no system for doing anything with the cards. But one of the things I did start doing is I hand wrote nice to meet you cards to people on mail. And I started doing that a little bit, not to everybody, but it got overwhelming. I had so many cards, it just kind of, everything started falling through the cracks. Like lots of you, I had business cards on my counter and I'd scoop them into a drawer or into a shoebox. And then many years later, you find the shoebox, like, oh, I kind of remember this person. Then just because you're meeting people, your income goes up. If you look at the most successful people in business, they have absolutely true skill in business. If you want to become successful, you're not saying, oh, you know, I already do that. Whoa, I almost fell over. Not saying that I already do that. Intentional, meaning that your goal is to meet. Like your goal is to make sure that you get in the habit of meeting X number of people per day, and if possible, this is contact information. How do you do that? Maybe it's just getting their email address and then saying, hey, what's your mailing address? When's your birthday? I send birthday cards. In catapulting your income. Now let's take the second one is connecting people. This is one of the most powerful things you can do. I can give you some examples that did not exist for me 15 years ago. I could, but I pulled off today. I started with the guy that had moderate success that no one knew, and I introduced that person to moderate success that no one knew. What I found is when you put two people together and they connect, ultimately it many times things that makes you look really great. So let's put this into perspective. So, and this is not a trick question. These are not trick questions. We're going to put 2 dots on a piece of paper. 2 dots. Not a trick question. How many between those 2 dots? 1 connection. Now let's put a 3rd dot. 1, 2, 3. So we had one. We went from 2 dots and 1 more dot. How many connections? 3, 2, 3. Who said 4? Where's the 4th? Where's the 5th? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Triangle. 3. Just 3. There's no 5. No. Maybe if you're side, it might be 5. No, there's 3. Right. So 1, 2, 3. So you went from 2 dots, 1 connection, to 3 dots, 3 connections. So by adding 1 more dot, you added 2 more connections. Just with 1 more dot. Hi, Carol. So if you had a 4th dot, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we went from 3 dots, 3 connections, to 4 dots, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3 dots, 4 dots, 6 connections. Now let's add a 5th one. This is where it gets interesting. I'm gonna help you. There's 5 dots. I'm just gonna help you. There's 10 connections. So we went connections to 1 more dot, 10 connections. So every dot, it exponentially increases the number of possible connections between those dots. Are you with me? Okay. So the reason why the biggest opportunities go to people that have large Rolodexes or large contact bases is because when they start connecting people together, every time they do that, it exponentially increases the possibilities of great things to happen, miracles to happen with them. So I'm going to share a story with you. And I'm telling you this as somebody that's been doing this for many, many years. So what I'm showing you today could not have happened for me 15 years ago. It happened on a different scale. So I became, over a period of years, I became good friends with Eric Worre, long before we met. We talked on the phone a bunch of times. He knew who I was, I knew who he was. He wasn't the Eric Worre he is today. Eric did not have a 500, wasn't the #1 trainer in network marketing in the world. He was a network marketer that had success on and off over the years. Big success, but on and off over the years. But we connected. Eric was struggling, to some extent, he was struggling financially when I met him. Years ago. We stayed friends over the years, and his business has grown It's a gargantuan. He's a gargantuan icon in the network marketing profession today. How many of you know who he is? Raise your hand. Okay. So any network marketing company, any network marketing meeting in the world, and just like in here, 90% of the people will raise their hand. That's how big he is. All right. So I'm back in his backyard in Las Vegas with his wife Marina. We're sitting down and we're just visiting around a fire in his backyard in the Vegas area in the winter. And Eric says to me, Jordan, do you have any connections to Tony Robbins? Friends with his son, and there's a woman named Laura I met about 4 years earlier at the foundation room at the House of Blues in Las Vegas, connected to Tony. And that's a whole nother story that was kind of freaky. But it happens because of connecting people. I'm with my friend Bob Gold. I'm going to go hands at home. We're at the foundation room. We went to see a magician who's a young 20-year-old that had been on America's Got Talent. There were 50 people in the room left. Myself and Bob went into the bar. We're sitting in the bar. There's two women in there, Lauren and Susie. They're both married. And we're talking to them. We don't know anything about them. In fact, we didn't even exchange names. We didn't know anything about them. We talked for 45 minutes just about stuff in Vegas. And at one point, at that point, she says, what do you do? And Bob says, Jordan Top Networkers. And I goes, well, I'm the top recruiter with Juice Plus. And I go, do you know Jeff Roberti? And she goes, yeah, I know Jeff Roberti. Jeff is a great friend of mine. In fact, she says, and then I say, Jeff's part of Platinum Partners with Tony Robbins. She goes, I know. I developed the Life Mastery program at Fiji for Tony, and I lived in Fiji for. Tony introduced me to my husband. I'm Tony for 7 years, and I still do a lot of stuff with Tony today. I know your people, and we start exchanging stories, and then she goes, what's your name? And I said, Jordan. She goes, Jordan? I go, yeah, Jordan. I go, yeah, your book. So we become friends. This is all connections, right? Think about it. All these exponential opportunities, right? Are you hearing this? All these people, I know all these people, there's all these connections. We all know this. I can name 50 people we know. 50 people. That's what we do. So now I'm back in years later, 3 years later, I'm at Eric Worre's backyard. He says to me, do you have any connections to Tony Robbins? And I go, I have a really good friend named Lauren. Let me call her. Call Lauren. I say, hey, Lauren. She picks up the phone. I go, hey, Lauren. She says to me, when she picks up the phone, she goes, Jordan, you're never going to believe this. I'm like, what? She goes, I'm listening to Eric Worre's I didn't tell her why I was calling. I just said, hello, Lauren. She goes, I'm listening to Eric Worre's program right now, and I'm on the CD where you're talking. He's talking about you on the CD. And I go, Lauren, introduce you to somebody. And I put her on speaker. I go, she like passes out. Freaking out. So I put them together. They have lunch. To Sam Georges, who's Tony Robbins' CEO. Friends, they go golfing together. And then Sam gets Tony Robbins to speak at Eric's event this year. Because of my connections, Lauren's connections, and Eric Worre's connections, you pull that all together. Now, the biggest personal development strategist in the world is speaking at, because I'm so what does that make me do anything? I just put mediocrely great people. You put them together and magic happens. Not always, but a lot of times that's how the biggest businesses, is that true? The biggest businesses are built. It's how the biggest businesses are built. The reason companies like Apple even exist today is because somebody introduced somebody else to each other. That's how they exist. That's how they create. You can change the world by introducing this strategy right here, as simple as it is. Some of you go, I do that. I'm talking about intentionally meeting people every day. intentionally connecting people, looking for great people and putting them together. That's how big business is created. Are you guys getting excited? Yeah. What's that? Oh, it's warm, especially it's hot up here. I can only imagine. It's got to. The air is blowing, but it's not doing much. So if you're making $1,000 a month, you can multiply that times 10 just by doing this for a few years. This guy right here, Ivan Meisner, one of those things connecting as a result of a 23-year-old. So I'm in at a trade show, and this guy comes up to me, Gary. He's a good friend of mine. He's a construction guy all his life, much older than I am. And he comes over to me, he goes, Jordan, there's somebody I want you to meet. I just signed up in send-out cards. I was new in send-out cards. Bring me over to this guy named Nate. Who would have known that because of Gary introduced me to Nate, Nate would become my best friend in the world. Like, he's one of my very, very, very best friends. In fact, I went on Nate and Kelly's honeymoon with them. That's how close I am. I'm not kidding you, in Hawaii. I know it's weird. We didn't stay in the same room. So, anyway, so he introduced me to Nate, and we get to know each other, and I find out he's involved with BNI. And I learn about BNI a little bit through him. I join a chapter, find out he's the son of the CEO of BNI. He's 23 years old, son of the CEO of BNI. Ivan Meisner, the founder of BNI, is his dad's partner. So I start promoting BNI like crazy and connecting people, going to meetings, and I start on my calls on Monday night. I'm telling everybody, you got to find a BNI chapter. It's the best thing for send-out cards that you can do. Find a BNI chapter, join it, become part of the chapter, get to know the members, and it'll do more for your business than anything else. And over the course of a year, starting with just 5 people, over the course of a year, we had, I think it was 250 of my team members in send-out cards were in BNI chapters. At that time, my send-out cards business was very small, but I kept promoting it. The business got bigger and bigger and bigger, and I kept promoting it. People found chapters, and that one relationship. Now, there's over 6,000 chapters in the United States, and we're today at about 800 of them. 800, and just from my connections with BNI, my income in send-out cards, just from that connection is about $25,000. And we're only in about 800 chapters out of 6,000 in the United States. Huge opportunity, huge, massive. A send-out cards person in your group goes to a BNI meeting and they join that chapter. It's a group of people that every week want to hear what you have to say. They want to give you referrals. It's been the biggest thing for me. So, and I'm a member of a chapter today. So because we connected so many reps with BNI, word got back to headquarters that send-out cards in 30 years were the #1 organization to put members into BNI. In 30 years of their company. So Ivan Meisner wants to know, he wants to meet the guy. So he asked Nate, said, can I meet this guy, Jordan Adler, and the founder of the company, Cody Bateman? So I put them together, I connect them. And Matt, he ends up speaking at our convention, and his organization has changed our organization. And you know what? Our organization has changed their organization. Another connection. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, he's not a send-out cards distributor. But he's written about us in 4 or 5 of his books. He talks about it, and they're all New York Times bestsellers. He talks about it on anytime he's being interviewed on the radio. So he's done a lot for us, a ton for us. But again, it's like, how many of those guys do you need to build a big business? I would rather have one of these kind of people, or like a Mary. I'd rather have one than 100 dabblers. But you don't know who that one is. We're going to get into that. Bob, Betty, and Golden. I knew them when they were in Vegas, and they didn't really have very many connections in Vegas. So they meet Seth, the magician that I went to see at the Foundation Room. Seth introduces them to Murray, who's a performer, a magician at the Tropicana. Murray introduces them to Paul Shortino, who is a retired rock star from Quiet Riot. Paul Shortino invites them backstage at the Legends of the Rock Vault at the Hilton Hotel, and they meet all these retired rock stars, and then they start getting invited to parties. Next thing you know, they are the most connected couple in all of Las Vegas. And the way they become known is become known as the Connector. They're like incredible. So So if you just do that, if you just connect people, it will exponentially increase your value in the marketplace. People will come to you. It's rare that I have to go out and get distributors. Today, people come to me and want to be my distributors because I've been connecting people for so long. And they know what I do through the connections. So that's what you can, and anyone can do it. You start where you are. I started where I was. And right after this, I'm going to tell you the story, like a little bit of the story. The last one is the one that all of you are good at, and that's appreciating people. And I don't really need to get into a lot about that because we all know that Send Out Cards is the appreciation company. We're the relationship marketing company. And we'll focusing on others and making sure let's find out if you really do. So I'm going to talk about how to take a nickel business card. See, one of these is probably worth, it's not worth a nickel, but it's probably cost about a nickel. Maybe a little less, depending on where you order your cards. Paper and ink, and they mail it to you and you send them some money, you put it on your credit card, they mail you your business cards. I don't know what the actual value of a business card is in terms of cost, but let's just say a nickel. And I'm going to show you how, and I put a $100 bill up here because we don't have a $1,000 bill. But really that's $1,000 or more. Every time I get a business card from somebody, it's like them handing me $1,000. Whether they do business, whether I ever see them again. If somebody hands me a business card, that's like $1,000, $1,000, $1,000. How would you like that? Okay, I can show you how to do that. I can't guarantee it, but I can tell you it's pretty darn predictable. Pretty darn predictable. So if you knew whether you ever did business with that person or not, if they gave you a business card, that's like them giving you $1,000. Let's talk about that. And I'm going to tell you right now, if I take 1,000 business owners, I can't even hardly find one of them that do this, but I do it. And that's one of the reasons why my business is what it is today. 150,000 distributors, 500,000 customers. Okay, so here's what I do. If I get 100 business cards, I make sure that every single one of them gets a nice to meet you card. So when I get a business card, I look, make sure their address is on there. If it's not on there, I get their address, I email them, ask them for it, I send them a nice to meet you card with a picture of me on the card. Now, why do I put my picture of myself on the card? They're going to remember me. And you know what? I only met them once. If I don't do that and we run into each other 2 years from now, if I don't put a picture on the card, the likelihood they're going to remember me is very low. But if I put a picture on the card, the reason they'll remember me is because they don't throw the card away. They don't throw it away, so it's sitting on their desk or on their, especially if I send them a little gift. That's number 3. If I send a nice to meet, if I get 100 business cards and I send a nice to meet you card to all 100 of them, just because I did that, I get 2 distributors. If I send a nice to meet you card to 100 people, 2 of them become distributors, because they'll Google you up, they'll look at your company, and they'll call you and say, I want to be a distributor. Just because you send a nice to meet you card to 100 people. Place a call to them, add 2 to that. So if I call all 100 people, and that's, you know what I've learned? People don't pick up their phone anymore. They do not, if they don't recognize the number, they get ignored or they let it roll to voicemail. Is that true? How many of you do that? Raise your hand. Look at everybody in the room. So what does that mean? That means when I call somebody, I know that there's almost 100% chance that I don't have to talk to anybody. But that's good for me because I don't have time. But I do have time to leave a 20-second message. So everybody I get a card for, I call them on their cell phone, not their landline. I call them on their cell phone, and I say, hey, Sean, this is Jordan. I met you on Wednesday night. I got your business card. Hey, I just want to say it was really nice to meet you. I hope we see each other again soon. Let's stay in touch. That's it. Hang up. Just because nobody does that, you guys. Just because I do 1 and 2, I get 4 distributors, 4 out of 100. That means I get 2 new distributors plus 2 out of 100. So that's 2, 4. 4 out of 100. If I send all 100 of them a gift, like a $5 Starbucks card or a little box of brownies, if I do that, that adds 4 more. Now I get 8 out of 100 just by doing that. Just because I sent all 100 of them brownies. Number 4, remember their birthday. Nobody does that. That adds 4 more. Set up a personal meeting. This is where it gets tougher. And I don't get all 100 of them, but I get a pretty good high percentage of them. Not all of them. But I set up a personal meeting. And what's the meeting about? Not to show them send-out cards. The meeting is about to do what? Get to know them. Find out how I can help them. They're going to ask me what I do, and I'm probably going to end up showing them. But I'm just going to set up a meeting with them and just I'm gonna do my best to do that. And the last one, now, I'm gonna tell you something. 1,000 business owners, any industry, it's rare. It's like 1 out of 5,000 people do all 6 of these things with everybody that they meet. And that's why so few people make big money. That's why. It's really simple equation. And now what happens is I know if you add these numbers up, there's about 20. 5, 3, 4, 4, 2, and 2 is 20. If I sponsor 20 people personally, I know that a third of them are going to do nothing, a third of them are going to do a little, a third of them are going to do a little more than a little, and one, generally, not always, but 1 out of 20 will build a group of thousands. 1 out of 20 will be a Bob and Betty Ann Golden and have 12,000 people in a group. 1 out of 20 will be a Todd Falcone and have 16,000 in his group. 1 out of 20 will be a Jim Packard and have 16,000 in his group. I just know that by the numbers. It's not 100%, but it's close. And when I add all the money that I make as a result of those 100 cards, and I divide it by 100, it's about $1,000 per business card. Did you follow me? So anytime somebody gives me a business card, I go, thank you. And I don't say thanks for the $1,000. I don't say that. But I have thought it's like it doesn't matter whether you do business with me. I'm gonna do all 6 of these things. You can count on it.
I want some brownies.
Yeah. You wrote your address. All right. That's what this stack of cards is, because they've been sitting on my couch for 2 weeks and I haven't got to them yet, but I will. All right. So what are the 3 areas? What are the 3 areas that can exponentially increase your income? What's the first one? Meeting people intentionally, meeting people intentionally every day. What's the second one? Connecting people, looking for opportunities to connect. What kind of people? Great people. Connect great people together. Look for opportunities to connect great people. It will exponentially increase your number of opportunities. What's the third area? Appreciating people. Meeting people, connecting people, and appreciating people. Is this valuable?
Yes.
Okay. Let's keep going. I want to talk about your journey in building the business. And these are the 7 areas that I'm going to go through. The first is your dreams. The second is your list. And I'm not going to take a lot of time on each of these, but I'm going to give you the best that I've got on each one of these. The first one, your dreams. I have learned, and I shared some of this in the beginning of what we talked about. I've learned that it doesn't matter. When you write your dreams down, it doesn't matter whether you believe they're possible or not. It doesn't matter. You write them down whether you believe they're possible or not. I found out that most people stop dreaming somewhere between the ages of 7 and 12 years old, 7 and 15 years old. We're dreamers as kids, right? If you ask a kid, what are you going to do when you grow up? Stand up and tell everybody what you're going to do when you grow up. Stand up and tell. See, he didn't even have to think about it. He knows. He's a dreamer. Somewhere between the ages of 7 and 12 years old, we stop dreaming. And we stop going for our dreams because of the adults and all the negative stuff in the world. And so, good job, Tyler, by the way. So what we start doing is we start shrinking our dreams down to meet our income. That's what we do. We give up on our dreams. We start believing, and we start telling ourselves so much negative stuff that we start believing that our dreams aren't even possible. And so, one of the things I read a book called The Magic of Thinking Big by David Schwartz. How many of you read that book? Phenomenal book. Man, talk about life changing. It's simple, really simple book, but it changed my life. And he really gave me permission to dream again. And that's my brand, Beach Money. Beach Money is about learning to dream again. It's about expanding your dreams. It's about lifestyle. It's about it's about believing that the impossible is possible for you. And that's why I wrote the book. And so I started doing, I'm going to tell you a story. I started doing some things years ago. I literally could do an 8-hour seminar just on this topic because I've got so many stories, and then I would have you do exercises. But I've got so many where I wrote down things that when I wrote them down, I didn't even believe they were possible. And I'll give you a couple of examples. Now, you guys know the Academy. Anybody here ever walked the red carpet at the Academy Awards? You walked the red carpet? Good job.
5 times.
5 times. Are you a voting member of the Academy?
No.
Are you an actress?
No.
Okay. Can I ask, without a story, can I ask, like, was there a specific set of circumstances that caused you to be able to do that?
Yes.
Okay. So let me share this with you. There's millions of people that want to walk the red carpet at the Academy Awards, right? Every year. But there's only a few hundred that really do. Do you know the exact number of people that walk the red carpet? Do you know the number?
I don't.
You know. There's a few thousand in the room. There's millions that want to be there, and it's very difficult to go. You can't just say, I want to buy a ticket and go. It doesn't work that way. And I wrote 25 years ago on a notepad, I wrote, walk the red carpet at the Academy Awards. Now, I'm not an actor, and not even close. I was living in a $28,000 home in the south suburbs of Chicago that just sold for $10,000. And it didn't sell at auction, and it didn't sell as a bankroll. It sold on the market. It was my dad's home. When we lost my dad, we sold the home for $10,000. That's the home I grew up in. I'm not an actor. I'm not a producer. I have no reason that I would ever be walking the red carpet. But I wrote that down. I lived in Illinois. I wrote that down as a goal. And years and years later, a woman joins my organization. Her name's Gwen Field, and she's a voting member of the Academy. And she says to me kind of off the cuff, maybe someday we can go to the Academy Awards. I'm a voting member and I can get us in line. I go, that'd be great. I didn't tell her about my goal because I don't do that. I just like see how things kind of fall out. I wasn't going to be like desperate. Oh, please do. So, but she says, I want to invite you to the Academy Awards, and we'll do that someday. It's great. 3 years later, Gwen calls and says, would you like us? I need to put you in the lottery for the Academy Awards. We're going to the Academy. Now, this isn't walking the red carpet. This is just to go. And I said, sure. She puts us in. A month later, she calls me and she says, we didn't get it. We're not going to the Academy Awards. I go, that's too bad. Sorry. Maybe some other time. So thank you for inviting me. I said, thank you, And then I'm in Atlanta with Cody, founder of Send Up Cards, Dave Smith. We're sitting around a table. It's 11 o'clock at night in Atlanta. And it's Friday night. And we're teaching all day on Saturday. And my phone rings and it's Gwen. And I look at the phone and I say to Cody, Gwen Field is calling you. She's calling me to invite me to the Academy Awards on Sunday. Now I'm teaching all day on Saturday, and I didn't bring my tux. Because not only did I not bring my tux, I don't own tux. And you don't go to the Academy Awards dressed like this. Nobody goes to the Academy. You're not allowed, right? So I answer the phone. I answer the phone. I go, hello, Gwen. Calling out. Hi, Gwen. We're going to the Academy Awards. We got picked because there was as an alternate. Can you be in LA on Sunday morning at 10 a.m.? So I'm in Atlanta. I don't have a tux. Let me see what I can do. I hang up. I call American Express, Delta. They have a night flight. Saturday night, after the event, I'll get on the night flight, and I can be in LA the next morning by 6:30 in the morning. Perfect. Sunday morning, right? But I don't have a tux. Where am I going to get a tux? I'm teaching the next day. It's Friday night. I can't go get a tux. I said, where do you go? Like, what's open, So about 3 years prior, I got measured for custom clothes, but I had never in my life ordered custom clothes, not even from that guy, ever. And I didn't even know if the guy still did custom clothes. I didn't even know if his number was the same. But I found him. His name's Alex. I called him. It was like 9 o'clock in Vegas by that time. I called Alex, and I said, Alex, this is Jordan. You measured me 3 years ago, and I need something from you. I'm going to test you right now. I need you. Like, I really, really, really need you. I said, I'll pay whatever. I need a tux in LA that fits me on Sunday morning with shoes and a tie and all this. And he goes, I'll see what I can do. He gets with his son. They make me a tux all night long. His son drives the tux to LA, gets it in the hotel room at the Georgian on Pacific, right across from the pier, has it in my hotel room at the Georgian. I made the hotel reservation and all that. At 10 o'clock, a limo picks me up. Now watch this. I get taken to a home, Robbie Williams' home. Now I'll be surprised if anyone here knows not Robin Williams. Who knows who Robbie Williams is? Yes. Who knows who he is? Raise your hand. Who's Robbie Williams? From England. He is the biggest pop star in the history of Europe. He's bigger than the Beatles, bigger than the Rolling Stones. This guy booked 50,000 people at 8 concerts in 15 minutes. That's how big he is.
Wow.
But no one in the US knows who he is. He's got a home next to Paris Hilton. So they pick me up in the limo, they take me to this home next to Paris Hilton's home, not that that is any big deal, but, and I'm in the living room, I have no idea who this guy is, I'm with Robbie Williams, I didn't even know his face. I mean, he's obviously somebody, right? But I had no idea who this was. Gwen's daughter is married to him, they got 2 kids together. So I'm there, so then they take us to the Academy Awards. Now, I got to walk the red carpet at the Academy Awards. Because we were an alternate, we weren't picked up in the lottery, we were an alternate. I walked this, and so that goal came to be. But I wrote it down even when I didn't believe it was possible. And over time, I don't know how it happens, but if you're bold enough to write it down and focus on it. So I want to share one more a quick one with you, a real quick one. I'm at our convention, and my point is this: if you get nothing else out of tonight, and you're not doing this right now, I know a lot of you are because you're in this business and that's what we do. But if you're not, write down 3 things that you don't believe are possible for you, that you want in your life, for yourself and for your family, whatever it is. Write them down and just focus on them for a while. You don't even need to do it all the time. Just periodically look at. I have a journal that I carry with me that has goals, dreams listed, and I can add it to them. Because I love it. It's so fun to write things down that I don't believe are possible, like learning to fly a helicopter, giving a tour, being able to fly out into the desert, land on a beautiful, sunny 70-degree afternoon. I got my license 2 days ago. I can do that now. I can take my friends. So, okay, so the third one, real quick, the second one, real quick. I'm at our convention last May or whatever, a year ago, and a woman, I'm at the start, they're not even open yet. This woman comes down, and she goes, "Are you Jordan?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm from New Zealand." Said, and I asked her, I said, "What do you do?" And she goes, "I'm a travel agent." I go, "Well, really?" Now I know the travel business, and I know travel agents are hurting right now. Money. The internet's kind of wiped out the travel. I just assumed she wasn't doing well, and I said, "So you're a travel agent?" I said, she goes, "Oh my, I just had my best year ever." I go, "What? 21 years? She said my best year ever." That's a space. And I go, "Space?" Like, she's saying space on hotel room space, cruise ships. No. I go, "Space," and she points up in the sky. I sold a handful of tickets. Richard Branson's new civilian space program, $250,000 a ticket. And I go, "Wow." And then I remembered, I didn't say anything to her, but I'm like, oh my God, 10 years ago, I wrote down a goal when I was full. I wrote down a goal on this sheet of paper. I remember it. Space traveler, and I remember writing it. I remember thinking to myself, this 47 years old, I wrote space traveler. Virgin Galactic wasn't even around back then. And I went home, and I started pulling out all the journals, and I started going through pages and looking for it. Sure enough, number 8 on one of the lists, it says space travel. And then about 2 weeks later, I get a phone call from an email from Carolyn, and she says, Virgin Galactic is going to be in line. And I go, yeah. So they meet, Rose King's Cove, we sit down, she sits next to Richard Branson in London, and she shows me the brochures, and she showed me all the pictures and saying, you're going to go 2,400 miles an hour, 3 times the speed of sound, the curve of the earth, and you'll be able to see the star, and you'll experience weightlessness in space. Richard Branson's going up in about a year, and first one in the building in Hobby Desert right now at the Space Center. To know Richard Branson. Like, wow. Just the network of people, the other astronauts. I'll be able to call myself an astronaut. I'll be one of the first 1,000 in the history of the world to be in space. And I'll be part of the launch of the first civilian. I mean, I'll be long gone, but there will be people flying all the time from here to Australia and through space. I get to be part of the pioneering of that. If I do this, so on March 9th, on my birthday, I wired $250,000 to Richard Branson, to Virgin Galactic, and I filled out all the paperwork, and I am now officially a future astronaut. When I wrote down Space Traveler, this guy here, Thailand, he's my age. It will be a regular thing to get on a ship like that. In a matter of 30 minutes, be halfway around the world. By the time he's my age. And it's because of this program. So it kind of gets me a little crazy, you know.